This is the Raiders Rundown with WiFiWillie, and we got a lot of hot topics tonight. We're going to be talking about Darren Waller's contract, how unique it is, and what the future holds for Darren Waller. We're also going to be talking about Josh Jacobs, what's his future with the Raiders, as he did not participate in drills just last week. Remember to like this video if you haven't already, and subscribe to the Raiders Rundown for more Raiders content. Let's get right into it. So let's first talk about some member questions that were sent in just today, and if you want to become a member, the link is in the description below. So Matthew Pola says, is our roster set? Are we finished? And this is a big topic because June 1st, about 2 days, we got the cuts, June 1st cuts. We're going to get some more cap money there. We should have roughly $24 million in cap after the June 1st cuts. Now, this is the Corey Littleton cut, the Carl Nassib cut that couldn't take place until around this time. Now, I will add another dynamic here is the fact that if you did trade, hypothetically, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if you did trade Farrell, Jacobs, right? People like that, Jonathan Abram, after June 1st, you free up much more cap to do that. You know, right now, if they traded any of these players, it would offset. The amount of dead money would equal the same amount of money of cap space. But if you wait till after June 1st, you save some cash. You save some cash, and that's just straight up fact. Christian Barker asked a question that related to Matthew's questions. Do you think we'll be adding another wide receiver to our corpse, or is the receiver depth chart pretty much set for next season? So, receiver depth, will we add another receiver, and is our roster set? Two key questions in light of the June 1st cuts happening in just a few days. Now, I don't think we're going to add another wide receiver. I will say that because Mac Hollins has a $2 million deal. Demarcus Robinson has some guaranteed money there. Keelan Cole doesn't have guaranteed money, but he did look good with the Jaguars, and he's dealt with injuries since then. So I think these guys are going to get some playing time and get a real opportunity to be the number 2 outside wide receiver, and that's Demarcus Robinson, Mac Hollins, and Keelan Cole. It's going to be tough competition there. Tyron Johnson is still on the roster. He could be that speedy deep threat, something like Deshaun Jackson was for the Raiders last year. And we also saw Tyron Johnson return some kicks last year. Maybe this coaching staff will elect to do the same. Not clear as of yet, but I do not anticipate that we add another wide receiver. There's no one who pops out to me that makes me say, oh wow, we definitely need to go and give this guy some cash. He's going to contribute to the team. Now, I could say OBJ, and I could maybe get some more clicks and you know, spark the headlines by saying the Raiders are going to sign OBJ. But to be honest, a guy who's, you know, that old, dealing with injuries, I highly doubt we sign OBJ. Now, could we maybe do something mid-year? Maybe you sign a veteran mid-year for a big playoff push, similar to what we did with Deshaun Jackson when we had injuries happen to our, you know, receiving core. Yes, then I believe you could do something like that. But do I think it's going to happen before preseason? No, I think we're going to roll with who we got here, Christian and Matthew. Now, is the roster set? A separate question, but a very important question. I think it is set. Defensive tackle was a glaring issue when you looked at the roster before the draft. We really only had Bilal Nichols and Jonathan Hankins there as two people who we could see starting at defensive tackle. But I think the addition of Matthew Butler and the addition of Neil Farrell Jr. does give you some depth there at defensive tackle, and obviously the Raiders would like to give these guys an opportunity to become better, right, and to make an impact on this team rather than just bringing in some other veteran to take away their snaps. That's what I think what will happen. And what we have heard last month that we really forgot about is Gerald McCoy claiming that he's still in the building and still around the Raiders. Gerald McCoy, you know, Pro Bowl veteran, probably will go into the Hall of Fame at some point in his career. Somebody who had a bad injury last year and was looking hot and looking promising coming in for the Raiders as defensive tackle. Who knows if we sign him again, because his contract has expired, but we know there's rumors, and what he said so himself on Twitter months ago was that he's still around. He's still around the team. So hopefully Gerald McCoy could come by and solidify that defensive tackle room. Now, more questions. Do we believe we can have 3,000-yard receivers this year? I'm going to go ahead and say no, not in terms of wide receivers. I do think Renfrow will get his 1K. I do think Devontae Adams will obviously get over 1,000. But as far as another receiver, do I see Robinson? Do I see Keelan Cole? Do I see Mac Hollins getting 1,000 yards receiving? No, I don't. I think that would go to Darren Waller, and potentially Foster Moreau is going to get a lot of targets this year as well. So I would say, do I think we're going to have 3 receivers? If you're counting tight end there, yes, then I would say we'd have 3 getting 1,000 yards. But I think one of those is going to be Waller, so it essentially won't be a third wide receiver. Are we going to be run heavy or pass? This is by Kylan. Look, every team is pass heavy in the NFL. That's just the nature of the game these days. However, we do know the Patriots last year and a couple of years prior, they always rank top 5 and having only 2 wide receivers on the field. They got a lot of sets, I formations, right, where you're going to be running the ball most likely. I do think we're going to run the ball more than last year. Last year, we passed the ball an insane amount. Like compared to previous years, last year, we're passing the ball like crazy. But actually, if you look at going into week 5 last year, we were only behind the Chiefs in pass percentage of plays that resulted in a pass. We were right behind the Chiefs, second in the NFL. So while Gruden was here, the first five or 6 weeks, we were passing the ball quite a bit. And we ended up having to do that throughout the year because really we didn't have a good run game due to the offensive line. Now, I think that's going to continue. We're obviously going to be passing more just like every other NFL team, but I think the nature of the Patriots running the ball pretty frequently, you will see us do that a lot more than last year, but it's not going to be something completely substantial. Darren Waller. Darren Waller is a big topic these days. Contract situation is, in the air right now. You had Mike Florio create an article today, said Darren Waller is woefully underpaid. And just last night, there was an article by Shireen Williams on Pro Football Talk and NBC Sports, where Darren Waller in a podcast said that he's letting his agents handle the contract. So he's not involved. And this is what every player has to say whenever they're asked about their contract. Oh, my agents are taking care of that. Oh, I just focus on football. My agents take care of that. Agents, they're so great. They're handling that for me. But we know. I mean, look, whenever I have a job, I'm very concerned about how much I'm making. I'm very concerned about how much my boss is paying other people who are doing the same amount of work, just like any job. You work at Chick-fil-A, you work at Pizza Hut, you're going to be concerned about these things. Is this guy who's delivering the pizzas just as much as me getting paid more than me? F that, right? When you find that out, you say F that, right? And unlike some of the jobs that we work in the NFL, you know how much everybody's getting paid. Oftentimes in companies, they're like, oh, don't talk about your wages at work. Oh, you can't know how much your coworkers are getting paid. They try to hide this information. But no, the NFL, we know how much everybody's getting paid. And Darren Waller knows that he's the 19th highest paid tight end in the NFL, despite when he's healthy, being the best tight end in the NFL, to be quite honest. In my opinion, I think he is the best tight end in the NFL right now. He's younger than somebody like Travis Kelce. Yes, he's not as great as a run blocker as Kittle and Kelce, but I think this day and age, you value the receiving skills. You value the receiving skills over everything. So he's going to say he's not concerned. He's obviously in good graces with the Raiders. He's showing up to OTAs. And this could mean that a contract extension is coming soon. It's something that Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels have to check off the box, have to take seriously. They got to get this guy paid. And yes, he could hold out, but there's not exactly holdouts anymore. These days in the NFL, it's something called hold-ins. Is what typically happens, where you show up to the mini camp, you show up to the training camp, but you just don't participate in drills. You just don't participate. You hang out to the side until your contract is negotiated and fully structured in the way you'd like. This is what TJ Watt did in 2021. He did what's called a hold-in, right? Where the CBA rules make it where you have to show up or else you'll lose some cash. So what you do is you show up anyways, you just don't participate, don't risk injury in training camp. And that could be something Waller does if his agent does suggest that. I'm not saying that's for certain, but he's in a unique situation where he does have 2 years left on his deal. He has this year and next at roughly $7 million a year, which is absolutely insane. Meanwhile, Devontae Adams is making almost $24 million a year. And I mean, that is pretty crazy because he got this deal inked in 2019 when he wasn't a big player. He did really well in the first 5 games of the season. And John Gruden said, you know what? Let's sign this guy to a 4-year deal right now. Give him some guaranteed money. And he said, sure, why not? I'm some unproven guy who's got a second chance in the NFL. Sure, why not? And smart move by Mike Mayock and John Gruden, getting that signed very early, able to see very quickly this guy's going to pop off, might as well sign him now, and boom. Now we're in this situation here where he's criminally underpaid for how talented he is because of a deal he signed in 2019 when he was an unproven player. That's the situation we're in right now, and we'll see what happens. Look, if I was him, I'd want some more cash. If I was him, I'd want some more cash. And you know what? We do have some cap space opening up June 1st. Let's see if we convert some of that to a signing bonus for Waller. Try to get him paid right now, and that way his cap hit is lower in future years. That'd be a smart move and a move I would make if I was Ziegler and McDaniels and company. And tight ends historically are criminally underpaid. Greg Olson has his tight end university where that was talked about. Darren Waller actually regrammed his post, which talked about how tight ends block like left tackles and catch like star wide receivers, yet we get paid less than both. And then Kittle is backing this up just recently, saying Travis Kelce's pay in comparison to receivers boggles the mind. So, behind the scenes, these tight ends are heated. They're heated about how much they're getting paid, and they think they should get paid more. And can you blame them? Can you blame them? Denzel Good didn't participate in individual drills or team drills. He was working with training staff. Maybe he's not that healthy yet. And Josh Jacobs didn't wear a helmet and didn't participate in drills either. We don't know if this is an injury problem. There is a new coaching staff here, so you would think, okay, you want everybody to participate. So Jacobs, if it's not an injury issue, which it doesn't seem like it is according to Sean Reed of The Athletic, since he mentioned this for Good but did not mention this for Josh Jacobs, you have to wonder, why isn't Jacobs participating? Now, on one level, if this had been a returning coaching staff, I would agree with the point that Jacobs is not participating because, here he's a veteran. He already knows what's going on. We want to get the rookies some reps and some of the new guys some reps so they can learn the system. But this is a new system and this is a new coaching staff. You would want him participating to learn this as quickly as possible. Maybe he is electing not to participate because he wants a contract extension. We know his 5th-year option was declined. That's a possibility. Maybe it was the coach's decision. Maybe they want to get some guys up to speed instead of Josh Jacobs at this point in the season. Who knows? What I am hoping is that they want to just get the new guys and the young guys some reps, and Josh McDaniels is already very comfortable with Josh Jacobs. Therefore, he does not think he needs to get some reps. However, the logic is kind of tough for me because I personally think, it's a new year, a new scheme. We need to get up to speed quick with the guys who are actually going to play. Sorry, practice squad guys, but I would want to get Jacobs some reps. I'd want to get him some reps quick. Let me know what you guys think, Raider Nation, but I think this is kind of an issue. When the guy who's supposed to be getting most of the carries, this season is not getting reps right now, you have to wonder what exactly is going on. Now, it could be an injury issue, and that would make me feel a little more positive because at least I know he's with the team, going to be with us this year. Because don't get it wrong, I think Josh Jacobs is a talented individual, and I want him to ball with the Raiders this year. But when we declined the 5th-year option, and when we drafted Zamir White in the 4th round, I mean, any honest person would, immediately think, well, what does this mean for Josh Jacobs? And you could sit there and you could say, oh, we need some depth, blah, blah, we need some depth. Really? We need some depth that badly when we have Kenyon Drake on the roster, when we have Brandon Bolden on the roster as well? I mean, do we really need that much more depth where we just pick a running back in the 4th round? To me, that was a little intense, especially a position that you could find a lot of veteran free agents. I mean, that's what people know about the running back position, and is that it does not cost that much these days in the NFL. So hopefully things are working out with Josh Jacobs, but last week he did not participate or do the team drills. May 26th, something to keep in mind, especially now that we have a mandatory minicamp. This will be happening June 7th through the 9th, and we do have OTAs happening this week, June 1st to the 3rd, and we'll see what happens there. Raider Nation, thank you guys for checking out this episode of the Raiders Rundown with WiFiWillie. Like this video if you haven't already, and subscribe for more updates on the Raiders. We'll be dropping more content this week. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.